Hey, everybody, it's Eddie from Tokyo. This is your cryptocurrency update from Japan. I think most of you saw this story. It was released from CCN about 20 hours ago. So the headline is Monero headed to 18,000, Ripple price primed for 97% crash. It is a research paper that was done by the advisory firm called Satis. And if you didn't see this story, uh, according to the new report from the initial coin offering advisory and research firm Satis Group, they attempt to forecast what the shape of the cryptocurrency market will take over the next decade. And they believe that the winner is Monero. They think that it's going to be worth $18,000 within the next 5 years, and that represents a more than 18,200% increase from the present value, which stands today at just over $98. So this forecast largely stems from the firm's expectation that 90% or more of crypto asset valuations over the next decade will be linked not to decentralized applications, or sometimes referred to as DApps, or other exciting use cases, but to penetration into offshore deposits market. So that's an important part to remember as to what they use to bring about this chart of estimated values for these top 10 crypto assets for year 1, year 3, year 5, and year 10. So you can see here the price predictions are for Bitcoin, Ethereum, XRP, Bitcoin Cash, EOS, XLM, Litecoin, ADA, XMR, and Dash. And I want to take you to the bottom of the article here because they are a little bit more explanatory as to why they predicted such a low price for XRP. So within the currency networks, we continue to see meaningful downside from networks that have inherited brand recognition and potentially short-lived adoption during hiccups from their forked parent, such as BCH, and very little value in networks that are misleadingly marketed and not even required for use within their own network, such as XRP. But, I'm not sure if they really understand how the XRP works within XRapid. Because as everybody remembers, back in May, we had some of the preliminary results for the XRapid pilots released, and it is a real utility to provide liquidity. So it's an absolute solution for liquidity, and it also improves speed and lowers cost. So I just don't quite get their summary at the bottom. This is the actual report, and it's 19 pages long. And here are the authors: Sherwin Dowlett, and you can see in a little smaller font, Michael Hodap. Okay, so just remember those names. Like everybody, I'm sure, is wondering who this Satis Group is. And it was founded by this woman here. Her name is Emma Channing. She is the CEO and general counsel. So she is an attorney. And in this group, they are claiming to be a premier ICO advisory firm with areas of concentration that include global capital markets, corporate finance, M&A, financial regulatory issues, global corporate governance, intellectual property, antitrust laws, fund formation, privacy laws, technology transactions, and energy transactions. And I listened to a lot of her panel discussions today on YouTube, and she's very well versed in this space. In kind of doing some research to try to figure out why it is that they came up with this kind of analysis, I found the New York Post had an article December 1st, 2017, and it says mass firings at top digital currency investment bank. So it's a bit bloodbath, a bit bloodbath. Say that 10 times. The largest investment bank catering to the red-hot cryptocurrency sector was in total disarray on Friday after management fired 9 employees, including the entire tech team. So this is the Argon Group. And before Emma, let's just go back to her LinkedIn really quick. Before Emma founded her company, you can see here she was general counsel at the Argon Group. So she worked for them October 2016 up until she puts here November 2017. So basically 1 year and 2 months. Okay. Back to the article. So the Argon Group has been battling internal turmoil recently as many of its investment brokers had grown disenchanted over the direction of the company, so said the sources. And Argon's upheaval couldn't come at a worse time as investor money is gushing into cryptocurrencies in general and initial coin offerings, or ICOs in particular. So we learn when we come down here that the firings began around 4 a.m. on the day before Thanksgiving. They amounted to at that time 1/3 of Argon's payroll, sources said, leaving the future of the Beverly Hills company very much up in the air. The axed executives plan to form their own competing firm, sources said. So Argon, which is led by former Morgan Stanley banker Alexei Bulavin, confirmed the firings but denied there was a dispute over the direction of the company. So among those axed is Emma Channing, Argon's former general counsel. Miss Channing was fired for cause upon the discovery of evidence suggesting serious misconduct by her, including the potential misappropriation of Argon assets and intellectual property for her personal gain, and the dereliction of her fiduciary, I always have a problem with this word. I can do it. Fiduciary duties as the general counsel and an officer of the company. So Brian Ruby, a spokesperson for the company, told the Post. 5 employees who were working with her were also fired, and the evidence suggests they also participated in the misconduct. Argon is currently exploring its legal options in response to the situation, and so on. So I will put this article in the comment section too as well, but I found that a little surprising. So that article came out on December 1st. And we can find on January 8th the announcement of this Satis Group, a new digital asset-focused investment bank launched by ICO Capital Market Veterans, was announced. And this is an outline of their services and of the team itself. And kind of interesting at the bottom here, it says that the Satis Group can be reached at such and such address here for press inquiries and such for ICO proposal. Okay, so for ICO proposal request for services, 0.5 Ether will be required for initial screening for non-referring potential clients and will be refunded or applied as credit for viable proposals. It's kind of interesting. And if we go back to that post article, we can see, which I forgot to do here, I can show you that they also cite that in addition, Argon was also inundated with ICO proposals, about one every 2 minutes. Can you imagine? It was considering charging prospective clients one Ethereum token, about $442 at the time, just to send in a pitch. Oh my gosh. Channing had previously told the Post. So she likes to use that Ethereum token, it looks like. So my investment banking and technical teams and I will be relaunching a new advisory platform under the name Satis Group, effective immediately, Channing said in a statement. Satis is already raising funds. All right, so we know she started this company. And if we go to Sherwin Dowlett's LinkedIn, we can see that he was the author of that report, and from September 2017 to December 2017, according to his LinkedIn, he too was at the Argon Group. And when we take a look at that second person who is on the report, Michael Hodap, on his LinkedIn page, it also tells us that he was a business analyst at the Argon Group from November to January 2018 are his dates. So I started to think, well, okay, who are her clients? And she has a few clients. Science Blockchain, BCAP, Protos, but she also has this one called Intercoin. So Intercoin Technology. And in this particular video, she makes mention of that ICO coming in the future as one of her clients. So here is Intercoin. This is part of their website, and it is the investors page, and it kind of explains their business model. So they are a next generation platform and ecosystem for money. The money basically fits into fundraising, utility tokens, liquidity, stable coins, virtual currencies, micropayments, global payments, money analytics, and universal basic income. So the founder and person driving this project here is a gentleman by the name of Gregory Margarshak. I'm terrible with names. I'm so sorry, Gregory. I'm really just terrible with names. So he's the founder and CEO of Intercoin. And when we take a look at some conversation he had on Twitter, he was speaking with David Schwartz, who everybody knows is the CTO at Ripple. And he was doing his research, basically. He was asking David for him to take a look at something that he worked up, and he wanted to get David's second opinion. And David did have some comment. He said it's very similar to IOTA, and he wasn't convinced that it could withstand an attack. And they were having this conversation. Basically, back in December 2017. So I think it's interesting to see, but he is kind of questioning the way that the XRP is set up in terms of being able to withstand an attack as well. So David was very gracious and gave him his explanation and opinion. And then soon after, we find that he wrote this article here on December 25th, 2017, and it's titled, "What's Preventing Crypto from Everyday Payments?" And he is really focused on the maybe possible missing components for Bitcoin and Ripple. And he does talk about their bold ideas, but he thinks that the Ripple solution is kind of not perfect, and he believes that his project is providing that missing part. And this is a very interesting article. I'm going to put this down in the comment section below. But if we take a look down here on the, let's see, I want to show you where is that section here? Well, okay, so even though Bitcoin was conceived as a peer-to-peer system, it's mostly become a store value. And then Ripple Pay was originally a peer-to-peer electronic credit system, but eventually Ripple XRP became a network for moving money between banks. So what happened to the original goal of making a currency that people actually use to transact in everyday life? He is just working this out as he provided this article. And you can see that he's really formulating and justifying and coming up with an idea that he feels is going to provide a better solution. So he says, at the end, not enough people are willing to take on the risk of being financial intermediaries. And the project turned into a system of moving money between banks. It also introduced a global value-based token called XRP. So he's talking about, of course, Ripple. And this is where he really kind of sums it up as a global consensus. So both BTC and XRP networks today are monolithic global networks requiring global consensus about every transaction. Ripple in particular is well suited for settling debts between large institutions, but there's still a missing piece on the level of individuals. So this is, you can see that he thinks that the Ripple technology is well suited for settling money between large organizations without the need for them to trust one another. Intercoin, his project, aims to provide the missing piece, letting these organizations enable everyday transactions by users within their community, between communities. So that is really the key difference here. When you look at his white papers, you'll see that the members run their own networks on separate ledgers. So it's much more of a community-based currency. And the money circulates in the community, and communities have their own currency. So they can manage their own currency. Yeah, I think he believes he has the technology and the economics and the localized fintech or the micropayment solution to provide a better solution. And okay, so let's just go. This one, remember, was released, this article, on December 25th, right? It was on, yeah, Christmas Day. Okay. he then contacted David again, and I think he was still just kind of working out his final thought process and getting the assurance. So he tweeted here that Joel Katz, which we all know as David, just realized something that applies to Ripple and many other consensus algos. How can I be sure that early on the whole set of validators didn't fork the blockchain with a trusted network that isn't an issue? But if you start letting anyone in, what is the network? So he's a little concerned that, he's trying to really work out if the technology is something he can use. So David, again, is gracious and responds back to him, I think in a very good way. But at the end, he basically, Greg, comes up with the yes, understood. Basically, this is the root of trust, like DNS or a root CA. I was investigating using the XRP protocol to let communities start their own blockchains, but I worry some community validators will allow double spend on their chain early and screw their members that way. So he still is having a little bit of trouble getting over some of those parts of using the technology. But when we go to the white paper, he says here, Ripple is one of the only major cryptocurrencies to allow trading various currencies against one another. And the XRP currency is used as a bridge currency into which others can trade, much as Intercoin is used between community currencies. So they have developed the Interledger protocol to standardize these exchanges of value between ledgers, so the other currencies besides XRP may be used. Their XRP consensus protocol and blockchain implementation is an open source and is a good fit for our project. So he does see that he can build on top of the XRP protocol. Our project team seems to be the first, or one of the first, he writes, to come up with this from the other side, building currency as a service for the rest of us so that the community can have their own apps and currency as easily as they can install WordPress. So the bridge currency in our ecosystem will be Intercoin, like XRP is in Ripple's ecosystem. So this is just, approaching a problem in a different way. And this is his outline. I'll put the links to all of this down in the comment section below. But I guess was really curious if there were any projects that were under the wing of the Satis Group. And this is the only one I could find. And I have no conclusion. I just thought it might be interesting to share with you. And so I did. And, there is a saying in Japan. So I need to just go into a very short fluff story for you. There is a saying, and I want to show you that creature. This is a kappa, and there's a saying, kappa no kawa nagare. What it means is even a kappa can get swept away in the river. And the kappa is a creature that's from kind of mythological stories, and it lives in the water, but its meaning is that even an expert can make mistakes. So despite the kappa who lives in the water and is a great swimmer, he can also find himself being swept away by the river. So I want to bring that up because even though the group like Satis is a very qualified group and team to make assumptions, even experts make mistakes. So I think we just have to understand that what they say is possibly has some validity to it, or maybe it doesn't. I think everybody just needs to make their own opinion. And just to share with you a little more information on kappa, they are river monsters, and they may have originally been based on Japanese giant salamanders. And they're depicted in myth as drowning people and causing terrible problems. They're kind of a nuisance, if you will. However, they also have some good qualities. They can speak Japanese and are thought to have or thought to always keep their word. Kappa also enjoy a good sumo wrestling match. And the myth of kappa served a practical purpose as preventing children from drowning down rivers. So it was really a way that parents would tell their kids that if they swim in the river alone, a kappa will get them. And on family picnics by the river, people would throw cucumbers into the river, as this was said to satisfy the kappa. Most dangerous sections of the Japanese rivers are still marked today with kappa warning signs. This is a ukiyo-e woodblock print, so it's from the Edo period, so sometime between 1600 and mid 1800s. And this is a sumo wrestler, of course, and these are kappa who are out having some fun talking with the sumo wrestler. These woodblock prints are created by carving into the wood, and then you put each color down one color at a time by stamping the wood onto paper. It's called ukiyo-e. All right, everybody, that's it. That's all I have for you today. That's enough, right? So just take this information and do with it what you will. But I'm just sure all of us wanted to know a little bit more about this story because it was surprising. Okay, everybody, sayonara for now. Bye-bye.